Imagine this. This is Alex. He lives in the United States, where he uses the US dollar almost every single day. Buying coffee, paying rent, swiping his card without thinking twice. Now, Alex decides to travel. First stop, France. When he exchanges his money, he's surprised. $1 doesn't magically turn into €1. Instead, it's worth less than €1. Then Alex flies to Indonesia. Suddenly, $1 becomes more than 15,000 rupiah. Same dollar, same piece of paper. Wildly different value. So here's the uncomfortable question. Why isn't money equal? Why does $1 feel strong in one country and weak in another? And why do exchange rates move every second, sometimes without warning? In this video, we're going to break down what really gives money its value. Why some currencies rise, others collapse, and why your country doesn't actually want the strongest currency in the world. Before money became numbers on a screen, it used to be tied to something tangible. For centuries, currencies were backed by precious metals, mainly gold. This system was called the gold standard. Under this system, governments couldn't just print money freely. Every unit of currency represented a fixed amount of gold sitting somewhere in a vault. This had one major effect. Currencies were stable, but inflexible. As economies grew, trade expanded, wars became more expensive, and crises more frequent. Countries realized something uncomfortable. There simply wasn't enough gold to support modern economies. By the 1970s, most countries abandoned the gold standard and switched to a new system, fiat money. Fiat money has value not because of gold, but because governments declare it legal tender, and people agree to use it. That's it. No metal, no physical backing, just trust. This is why critics sometimes call fiat money fake. But here's the truth. Fiat money works, as long as people want it. The value of modern money comes from one brutal force: supply and demand. If people trust a currency, want to hold it, invest in it, or trade with it, its value rises. If people lose faith in it, even slightly, the value falls. That's why strong economies usually have stronger currencies, while unstable economies don't. And this brings us to the first major killer of currency value. Inflation is when money loses purchasing power. In simple terms, more money chasing the same amount of goods and services. Here's a simple example. In 2022, maybe $10 bought you 2 loaves of bread. A couple of years later, that same $10 only buys 1. Nothing changed about the bread. Your money changed. High inflation scares people. Why hold a currency that loses value every month? Now let's talk about a real-world disaster. In the 1980s, the Zimbabwean dollar was actually stronger than the US dollar. One Zimbabwean dollar was worth more than $1. Then came economic mismanagement, corruption, sanctions, and massive money printing. The result, at its worst, $1 was worth hundreds of thousands of Zimbabwean dollars. Money became so worthless that prices changed daily. People abandoned their own currency. Eventually, Zimbabwe stopped fighting reality and began using foreign currencies like the US dollar. Inflation doesn't just weaken money, it destroys trust. Now, let's talk about something that quietly controls global money flows: interest rates. Interest rates are the price of borrowing money. If a country offers higher interest rates, it's basically telling investors, put your money here, and we'll reward you more. This attracts foreign capital. But there's a catch. To invest in a country, investors must first buy that country's currency. More demand is stronger currency. So when the US raises interest rates, investors rush in, buying dollars. When rates fall, money flows elsewhere. But here's the dangerous part. High interest rates don't just attract investors. They also make loans expensive for normal people. Mortgages cost more. Businesses borrow less. Economic growth slows. That's why central banks walk a tightrope. and why markets panic every time interest rate decisions are announced. Money is cowardly. It hates uncertainty. When a country is politically stable, has clear laws, and predictable policies, investors feel safe. This is exactly what happened when China opened its economy to the world in the late 20th century. Foreign companies poured in. To build factories, pay workers, and operate businesses, they needed Chinese yuan. Demand exploded. The currency strengthened. The economy grew, but flipped the situation. If a country constantly changes its rules, raises taxes unexpectedly, faces protests, or suffers from corruption, investors flee. And when investors leave, currency demand collapses. Stability isn't optional. It's currency insurance. When a country exports goods, foreign buyers must buy its currency. Japan exports cars. Demand for yen rises. Australia exports coal. Demand for Australian dollars rises. Exports strengthen currencies. This is also why the US dollar dominates global trade. For decades, oil was sold almost exclusively in US dollars. Every country that needed oil needed dollars. This system, often called the petrodollar, cemented the dollar's global power. Meanwhile, countries with little to export often abandon their own currencies entirely, choosing stronger foreign ones for stability and convenience. Some countries don't want to fight currency volatility, so they cheat, legally. They peg their currency to a stronger one. Brunei, for example, pegs its currency 1-to-1 with the Singapore dollar. Belize pegs its currency to the US dollar at a fixed rate. This makes exchange rates simple and stable, but it comes at a price. If the stronger currency falls, the pegged currency falls with it. One lives, one dies. Together. So why don't we just use one global currency? No exchange rates, no confusion, no hassle. The euro already shows us the problem. Countries in the Eurozone gave up control over their monetary policy. When Greece faced a financial crisis, the shock spread across Europe. One country's mistake became everyone's problem. Now imagine that on a global scale. One bad economy could infect the entire world. That's not efficiency. That's systemic risk. Here's the final twist. A strong currency is not always good. Countries that import a lot want strong money. It makes imports cheaper. Countries that export a lot want weaker money. It makes their products cheaper globally. That's why some countries are accused of deliberately weakening their currency. Not because they're evil, but because it benefits their economy. Money isn't just paper. It's trust, politics, psychology, and power compressed into numbers. And now you know why $1 never means the same thing everywhere. If you want videos breaking down currency manipulation, devaluation, or how central banks really work, like and subscribe, because money might look simple, but it never is.